So, folks, good day to you. Hey, are you finding yourself blaming, shaming, and regretting? Are you constantly, or at least consistently, placing blame on yourself or others, shaming yourself and others? And is your list of regrets as long as your arm? Today, Rich and I are going to talk on New Thought Live. We're going to explore the value of being a victim and what you get out of blaming, shaming, and regretting. And we're going to open up this conversation to how to move from being a victim to being more powerful, compassionate, and aligned, maybe even graceful with the universe. So, yeah, and that's not just the universe, but including the life that you are currently manifesting. So that's what we're talking to you about today. Oh gosh, Rich,
Yeah,
big thoughts.
I know. I really love my wife because she never blames herself for anything. She's perfect. I always have to take the blame. So she lives her life from, without any, animosity.
She has a blameless life. I love that.
Blameless life.
I love that.
But anyways, no, totally. You can beat up on yourself really bad living as a victim. If you're living in the victim consciousness rather than in the creator consciousness. And so
what is the victim consciousness? How do we know we're in the victim consciousness?
When it doesn't feel good, when you're thinking, talking about stuff, acting upon stuff from a negative sense, that you're a victim,
It's happening to me. They're doing it to me.
Yeah.
It's beyond my control. That's just the way I am. That's also a way of recognizing that you're in a victim standpoint.
Yeah. I used to beat up on myself. Oh, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? It's like, why would somebody do that to themselves?
Well, so that's a good question. And let's go there. What do we get? What do we get out of blaming, shaming, and regretting? Because a lot of us spend time there, and I certainly spend time there. Please know that Rich and I were just talking before we came on about an experience that I had just today, where all of a sudden I was blaming, I was shaming. It's like, back off, Dean, back off. What do we get out of that place of blaming somebody? Because we've got to get something out of it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it with as much frequency. Do you have any thoughts on that, Rich?
I think we do it. Can you hear me? I think we do it because we're not in alignment with the highest good. When I'm in alignment with my highest good, knowing that we're talking about first cause and secondary cause. Secondary cause is the cause that we set into motion to create the results and the effect that we have. Primary cause is the cause set into motion by what I call infinite intelligence, the genie within, which knows all, sees all, is all, does all. It's perfection. And so, when I'm living in secondary cause and I create these effects that just make me go crazy, then I'm living as a victim. I, get in the victimhood. But when I move forward with grace and ease and acceptance and love, the love intelligence of the universe, and joy and harmony and peace, then how am I going to get victimhood out of that? I'm setting a cause into motion that's of the highest vibration. So if you set a cause into motion of the high vibration, you're going to get a high effect, vibrational effect.
Well, and I think the thing about being a victim is that you're taking all responsibility off yourself. Because when we have responsibility, then we have an opportunity to take action. And victimhood just is like you get to stay where you are without really. You were asking earlier, what's the difference between victimhood of being a victim? What's the opposite of that? And what I see is the opposite of victim is not really being a victor or vanquishing, because that implies battle. The opposite of victim is to be moving into grace and moving into trust. And that from that position, we're on the one hand, taking in a lot more energy. We're allowing ourselves to be involved with a lot more infinite energy being manifesting in our human life. And then we also get to be involved in action, taking that movement. We often talk in science of mind of treat and move your feet, say your affirmative prayer, say your spiritual mind treatment, but then take action.
Yeah.
So they're in there together. You don't just sit in a corner underneath a blanket and praying and this will come to me. This will come to me. You got to get out from underneath the blanket and take the human action that comes to you as that voice within. So I think by being a victim, we get to free ourselves of responsibility.
Yeah.
Free ourselves from that possibility, which actually might be scary. I think those are the two things that are most resonant for me as far as what it is, what we get out of being a victim.
Yeah. And, so that you don't go into victimhood, take a look at what is happening and how is this happening for me? Like you always say.
Yep.
And
how is this happening for me? Yeah.
Yeah. And like you were talking earlier about in New York City, the plastic bags in the garbage blowing around.
Yeah.
Tell that little story. I think that's a perfect example of being a victim or not being a victim.
I was in New York on a Sunday many years ago, and I was walking down, I think it was 7th at like 56th or something. And I happened to cross the street. And as I turned, there was a lot of wind blowing around, and the New York Times, Sunday New York Times, had clearly gotten away from somebody because it was just all over the place. It was just amazing. Now, and I saw it, and I felt such a sense of grace. I couldn't believe how this chaos, this garbage, if you will, was out picturing as such a sense of grace and beauty. And to this day, it became kind of a slow motion experience for me at the time. To this day, I look on that moment very fondly. And that was an opportunity for me to see grace, for me to see possibility where some might have seen garbage, because what you were seeing was maybe garbage, unless you worked for the New York Times or you were really into news, and then you just saw all of this magnificent news dancing all over the place. But what I saw was that power behind the garbage, the power behind what was manifesting. And that's where, when we release that sense of victimhood, which we do mainly because we are forgiving. Well, okay, if we can forgive, recognizing that you don't have to condone what people are doing to forgive them, we can move into a state of forgiveness that then moves us into a state of trust. And trust moves us into a whole other kingdom, as some would say, a whole other area of awareness, where we let go of the blame, the shame, the regret, and we can experience a sense that there's trust going on here. There's a belief, a faith that there is a power behind all of this going on that we've experienced and that we will continue to experience.
Yeah.
And that's.
And I was talking about the papers blowing around and stuff like that. You chose to look at it as beauty. Somebody living in victimhood would choose to look at it as like garbage in New York City.
Sure.
I hate this city. It's so garbage. And and it would bring up more of that in their life, because that's the way they see life. Mm-hmm. So to get out of victimhood, you have to train your mind to see the beauty and the joy and the harmony and the peace and everything, even things that don't seem like they're for your highest good. In the end, it can be for your highest good if you use it as a way to transform your consciousness, to transform your energy, to transform your life. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, the situation you had with, the situation today, that you were able to take and use that seemingly um, negative thing to turn it into something positive. Wow, what did I learn from this? How did I grow from this? You know?
And having that, as you say in principle 15, that you are connected to the whole. When we're blaming and shaming and regretting, we are feeling like, okay, there's separation. We're not feeling connected to the whole. And being open to receiving all that infinite intelligence has in store for us, it brings us into a state of trust.
Yeah.
State of trust.
Beautifully said.
I'm going to apologize. And there's a great quote there, a quote marks around apologize, because yesterday we really chewed on something really big as far as spiritual perspective was concerned. And when we finished off, I thought, oh my, there's so much depth to be gone in there. And there's so much more that we can do and do with this kind of thing. And that apology is that, yes, we did not fully cover all the possibilities of this magnificent perspective. But what happened, because we talked about it, is it was really, really part of my day today, this embracing a grander spiritual perspective. Because of our conversation yesterday, Rich, I want to thank you for that, and for our community for participating in it. We can take these discussions and daisy chain them to one another, and it's part of our spiritual, it's part of our spiritual growth. So I'm so grateful for that's yearning for me to really understand spiritual perspective even more, just as we're understanding that sense of trust more here today. And it just shows how these communications, these conversations that we have on New Thought Live really stream together into an important spiritual practice. And I'm grateful to you for that. I'm grateful to be here for that. And I'm grateful for everyone to be participating. So anyway, there you have it. Just a little side there.
And so to see what he's talking about, go back and look at yesterday's New Thought Live. And then the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that.
Yep.
And before you know it, your awareness is going to expand and your life is going to change.
Yep. I think we're done here, Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
So I will see you tomorrow, because we're going to do another one of these tomorrow. But I look forward especially to New Thought Tuesdays this Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, where Rich and I every Tuesday have about a 20-minute conversation about one particular topic. And then we go into a group conversation with our community on Zoom. So if you'd like to be part of this and join our community, try it out. You can come and participate, or come and just watch. Go to newthoughttuesdays.com and sign up for our reminders, because when you get the reminder, you'll also get a private link to our Zoom room, and we'll open up the conversation. Because the more you're involved in this conversation, the more you start speaking into it, the deeper it will go, and the more infinite the manifestation will be.
Yeah. Great. And so we'll see you on Tuesday. Tomorrow, actually, and then again on Tuesday.
Yep.